Testing. 1, 2, 3. Alex got me some really cute headphones. I just look adorable. And I'm so obsessed with them. Plug the headphones in just to test them out. And this is fucking lit. I have convinced myself I can sing. Are you ready? I'm not gonna do that. I can't sing. Ready? I don't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me. Hanging at the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. Turns out, when you try and talk to yourself, it's actually way harder than I thought. You know, I always talk to myself, but I never, decided to try and make a job out of it. Let's get to it, alright? I'm glad to know you're still here, you're still listening to me. I'm learning, and I thought I would share the journey with you. So, I have come to terms with the fact that I don't actually love the sound of my voice on replay. You know? Like, cutting out when I go, but, you know all of that bit. So I have been trying to cut out where I do it repetitively. Like, obviously, I don't care if I just say or like or but why did I just do it? But I'm trying to cut it out where I say like 4 of them before I remember what I was talking about. I'm not brilliant at editing, but I do want to learn the craft of it. So, you know, the first episode or so, probably even including this one, it's not going to be the highest quality, so I hope you enjoy the journey of me learning to get better at this. Today, I'm going to elaborate more on how to be independent and how to take full control of your life. I just wish someone gave me this advice, okay? I did use scripts in the last 2 episodes, so the first times I tried to podcast, I just found it really hard. Listening to the sound of your own voice is irritating as fuck. But it turns out when you have to edit it, it sounds worse. This diary podcast of mine has just really got me spiraling. You know, I could talk about this sort of stuff for hours. Anyone of you that have been through having to do things on your own or take your own journey or being forced into a position that you are not familiar with or uncomfortable with, you have come to the right place, because I just wish there was more people and more information out there to tell you how to be independent. I just feel like the world we live in is just solely created and based on 2 people. Like, moving out, they expect you to be able to afford something that is the same cost for 2 people, you know? I think the only thing I ever got discount on for living on my own is council tax. You get 25% discount for a single person occupancy. By the way, that's a cheeky like £300 off my council tax from £1,500. So I think I only pay something like £1,200 for council tax. Not a month, alright? It's like nearly £100 a month. If you went to school with me, you know I'm not the best at literature or language. Whatever one, I didn't know there was really much of a difference. I'll tell you something that is crazy. I failed language, but passed literature. And you know what I struggle with the most? Reading. Do you know what's even funnier? Is that the day I got my results, an English teacher who didn't teach me, she was actually my maths teacher, but obviously the staff talk between themselves. I was probably in the category of like troubled children in school. Not like an obvious way, but the teachers knew that I struggled and I would go in early and after school and stuff as well. So mainly in the last year when I panicked. But yeah, on the results day, my maths teacher, when she said to me, I don't mean to sound offensive, but did you cheat in English? And I was like, miss, I failed one of them, which means I overall didn't pass. They knew I didn't read the books. I mean, one of my teachers tried to get me to read it out loud and sharply changed her decision when she realised I sounded like a robot. Like, if I read the first line of this script, right, that I've wrote, you'll hear what I mean. This diary podcast of mine has just got me spiralling. I could talk serious for fucking hours. How to live alone. Independence is scary. Yes, I have improved because I started reading to practice reading a few months ago. Actually, no, I started reading because I needed a strict routine for my anxiety before bed and to give myself less screen time. But yeah, you get the gist. I was fucking terrible in school. I sound like a robot. I don't think anybody could follow the book when I was reading. You know, they've read to the bottom of the page by the time I got to that little full stop on the first sentence. Anyway, so let's get into the podcast. Today's episode, how to live alone, okay? I'm going to give you a little rundown of some handy tips and my experience of moving out and getting into the gist of things. Independence is scary, especially when you don't know much about it. You can be very independent, but doing something new and taking a big leap to a new risk, it really pushes your boundaries of what you're comfortable with. Now, when I first moved out into my own place, I still do now actually, like I still live on my own. In the last episode, I went into grave detail how I got there and everything I needed to set myself up to move out. I even added a lot of the process and necessities that you'll need. So if you haven't listened to that episode, give it a listen. If you want me to remake it, let me know. Yeah, the handy tips are in there. I would say read between the lines, but it's audio. Bear with me, okay? I know everything I'm saying is useful in the last episode, but I listened to that episode and I'm not proud of it. However, I'm proud of starting this new chapter, trying new things, and I'm just so extroverted and I love to talk to people, and I end up talking to myself all the fucking time because no one's ever here. I'm literally on my own most of the time. You know, Alex works all the time, so I only see him in the evening. I usually work all the time. You know, I don't make time for a social life because I'm so concentrated on trying to change my career and better for myself. This is not relevant. You know what? Let's move on. So when I moved into the house, the first apartment I got my contract. I think that was the first time I actually read the terms and conditions in like great detail. I was scanning it, I was like making sure I understood it. I was skeptical, and at the time I didn't really trust anybody. I read every single bit of that contract to make sure there was no like hidden blips and stuff. Most of it seemed pretty straightforward though. I spoke to my friend who rented a place with her boyfriend. They moved out a month before I did. I spoke to colleagues at work, and I needed to know how to pay my bills when it come to it. You know, it's all fine and dandy getting the place, but how am I going to pay my bills? Like, I don't want to be told off for not paying my bills. You know, I like to keep on top of things. I like organisation. Basically, I'm a massive control freak. The setup was still not complete as such. So I'd been in my home a couple of days, and one of my colleagues says, just wait for the letters to come through. Most of the time they just come through the post. Although some amazing advice they gave to me was, go and get your meter readings. And I was like, what on earth is that? Turns out, those weird plastic dodgy keys that are shaped like a little triangle, they open this box that has your electric reading and gas reading in, and then there is a separate one. I don't know if this is the same for all houses, I'm just assuming so. And there's a separate one for water. And the reason I said I don't know is because my electricity company keeps asking for my meter readings, as in 2, and I don't have gas, it's electric property, and I can only find 1. Now, I've been living on my own for 4 years, And usually, if I can't find it, they just come out. And that's why they get that's why they're so like, get your smart meter. Which I've heard doesn't actually make a huge difference. It just means they don't have to come out and do your meter readings. But the guy's probably bored. Or the girl, whoever. They're probably bored. Give them a day out. They can visit the outside of my house and check the meter reading for me. Why not? Keep them on their toes. Anyway, I don't know what the water reading is though. I think you're supposed to update that with Anglia Water every year. Sorry Anglia Water. Before I ever moved out, before I moved into this new place, when I ever needed to top up the gas and electric at my mum's house, you were given this little key and you would take it to a corner shop or a place that does it, and you would just give them the cash and just say, can you put tenner on this, 20 on that, whatever. So that seems really straightforward to me. But when coming out of a council house, becoming independent and going into a new place, I was like, well, how the hell do I do that? You know? Turns out that's not on every house. You actually get bills. I was like, all right, okay. So you need to tell the council that you moved in, because not paying council tax is super illegal. So this is the one bill that I never contacted, right? I don't remember whether I told them I moved in. Either I notified them that I moved in, or the housing estate agents, whatever you call it. So the estate agents must have notified them, or I did, I can't remember. They sent me a letter for the bill. And it was something like £1,500, £1,400. Actually, I think it was more than that. I had to tell them, obviously, I lived on my own. Yeah, so I must have contacted them, because I was entitled to the single person occupancy. It's like 25% off. And the bill come through and I just pinned it on my fridge, you know? Forgot about it. I don't know how I forgot about it, okay? It was on my fucking fridge. But they have all the dates that you have to pay, and you have to pay like a bigger sum in the beginning, and then you pay it monthly. Some people pay it for the year. Good for you. Some of us can't. I must have just forgot by a day or so. And the scariest thing in the world is when the council wants you to pay the council tax and they send you a red letter. I'm not kidding. They basically send you the bill again with a big box, and everything is in red font, and it's terrifying. It's basically like, if you don't pay your council tax, we're going to chop your head off. Like, I was like, oh shit. I mean, I paid it straight away, but it freaked me out, alright? Just pay your council tax. So another thing was, someone told me, you need to set up a TV license. And I was like, well, I don't watch TV. And obviously everyone was like, well, you have a TV, you need to pay a TV license. So I contacted the TV license and I said, apparently I have to pay a TV license just for having a TV. And they said, yeah, do you watch any live TV, BBC channels, do you record things, buy stuff, you know? And I said, I have an Xbox and I watch Netflix through that. And they said, you don't use anything else, BBC iPlayer, Channel 4. I was like, no. I barely even watch TV. I literally just have Netflix on the Xbox for when I'm bored. And I'm never that bored. Sometimes I just want background sound when I have friends over. And they said, oh, well, you don't need a TV license then. If you're just streaming, then you don't need a TV license. I was like, what? So it turns out, didn't need a TV license, but I still got the letters. So I called her back up and I said, can you please send me a letter that says I don't need a TV license? So I had to run through all the same questions again. And every year, they'll send you a letter asking you to pay for a TV license. It's like 150, maybe 160 now. But just a gentle reminder, money saving tip. I have used Netflix for 4 years. And let me tell you, I'm proper into TV now. Love a good series, love a good movie. And as long as you watch a few good things and watch them twice, it'll give you some really good recommendations. And I've not run out of TV yet. I think I run out, and then I just scroll and find something. If it's shit, I turn it off. Netflix knows. It's got an algorithm. It knows if you don't like something. So you can literally live off that. There's even kids programs on there. So if you've got kids, money saving tip. You're welcome. I also found out that it's actually criminal if you do use those other platforms to watch TV like BBC and stuff, and you record things and that. It's actually like almost as illegal as not paying your council tax. So just make sure you either pay it, set it up, or just watch Netflix. Okay? You're welcome. So when I first moved out, I actually had like a 22 or 24-inch TV. It was like the size of a laptop screen, maybe slightly bigger. And that's what me and like a few of my friends would use to just watch telly. And you know, nobody cares what you have. Nobody cares what size TV you have. Nobody cares, you know? Don't feel like you have to, when you move out, you got to get the brand new sofa and the brand new telly and all that. All you need to worry about is feeling safe, making it a home. You know, a house is not a home, you got to make it one. And just unpack your bloody boxes, okay? Because I didn't unpack everything and my life felt like a mess. Also, shout out to my friend who has let me use his Netflix for the past 4 years. I don't think he still knows that I use it. If you ever listen to this episode, please don't change the password because it would be rude of me to ask for it now. But I really appreciate you, and I'm grateful for the fact that you've let me use your Netflix for the past 4 years and prevented me from paying for that as well. So that's a money saving tip. Everyone, get yourself some good friends, and I am actually very thankful for that. I'm not trying to say that to sound sarcastic. Thank you. So let me just break that down for you. You could pay £150, £160 a year for a TV license. You can then pay for like things like Sky and stuff like that. I don't know how much it costs, but it ain't cheap. Or you can watch Netflix for something like, what is it nowadays, like £7 a month? I don't know, less than £20 a month, we'll say. And if you've got some nice friends, they might lend you their Netflix password and you won't have to pay anything for that. Always be thankful. That is a great life hack for those new homeowners that just want to save some money though, so you're welcome. Every year I do get a letter about the TV licensing, and I just tell them the same thing, and they don't threaten to come to the property again. When it comes to setting up the bills, I use Compare the Market for house insurance. I didn't know that was a thing. It was just a hidden bill I didn't know about. No one told me. It turns out it was in the contract when I read the terms and conditions, but I didn't realise what it was. It was only when I was rereading it I realised, oh shit, it's illegal for me to not do this because I'll be breaking the bond of the contract. I'm not sure if it's a legal requirement actually. It might be. You should check that. So the one I chose, I got my house covered for floods, fires, breakages. I mean, I'm pretty sure it only works in my favour if I flood, fire or breakage my house. But you just have to get it, so get it. Alright? I have to pay £160 annually for it. It is annoying, but you just have to pay it. And just a reminder, when you pay your council tax, they'll send you an annual bill breakdown. I think it's quite a lot at first, and then you pay it over 10 months, and then 2 months you don't have to pay it because you paid a lot the first month. But I think where I've stayed in the same property, I just keep paying it monthly. I don't pay the big chunk again. I don't think I get the months off either. So when you do sign the contract with the estate agents, they'll get you to fill in your bank details upon the time of signing that tenancy agreement, and that sets up your standing order or monthly rent repayments. So this is my life hack. I just find things like this were really easy for me, and I know it sounds like everyone says it, but I swear to God, it's so much easier if you just do it that way, so you're never worrying throughout the month that something's going to come out. You haven't got enough money in your account for something, you know? Set all your bills to the first of the month. The first month will probably be the shittest because obviously you're setting things up and stuff, but just call every single bill up and just say, please can you change the date of my repayments to come out of the first of every month? And they will do it, every single one of them. They don't care as long as they're still getting paid. have to pay your electricity and gas. A lot of people pay this separately depending on the property. You could get a top-up card, but luckily for me, every flat I've lived in has only had electricity, no gas. So that's just one bill for me. I always budgeted, but call the company, they usually send you a letter, and then you know who your provider is. I think sometimes you're able to change it, but I've never done that. I think I've always been with Eon. Give them a meter reading when you moved in, budget an estimate every month. So when I was trying to work this out, so I had enough money, I think I said to myself, 50 gas, 50 electric. It was half of what my mum was paying a month, I'm pretty sure. So turns out when you live on your own, you use way less than that. So much less than that. And I've had friends over. I've had people basically move in with me. I never used that much. I think the most I ever spent on an electric bill in the past 4 years is something like 70 quid. And that was obviously winter, lockdown, and I was home all the time. Obviously I left it. I leave all my lights on in the house all the time, like when I'm in the house. And my heating in the winter is a storage heater at the moment, so I just leave that on as well. What I'm trying to say is try and budget more than what you think it's going to be. So always round up so that, you're pleasantly surprised that you've got some change left over. And if you do that with all your bills, you'll have more disposable income, that you can feel more freely about your money. You're not always worrying that you've got, £24.96 to pay. Like, if you just run that up to 30 quid, you're going to end up with spare cash every month, and you can either save it, invest it, or keep it, And I just find that's something that took a lot of stress off my mind, because I worry about things so much, especially finances. It does depend on the house that you live in when it comes to energy bills. When you move in, they do actually provide you with one. I think it's a legal requirement that they have to. However, I don't know what I'm looking at an energy graph. I don't know, okay? When you look on Rightmove or whatever estate agent website, when you're looking for a property, it does tell you the energy rating. And honestly, that means fuck all to me. How the fuck are you supposed to know what that means? Alright, so sorry. If you want me to learn about that for you and discuss it, I will. But at the moment, I get zero clue. Alright? Next, you want to be arranging your bill for your water. So call up Anglo Water, give them your address and say you moved in on said date. They'll probably ask for a water reading, or someone will come out for you. I can't really remember how the water one works when it comes to the meter reading. They will estimate based on your washing load, so like how many times you put laundry on, showers, baths, how much water you use estimatedly. So like I tell them I do 2 washing loads a week. I tell them that I have a shower every day, or I have a bath every other day, like never both. And they just estimate based on that. To be honest, I don't bath every day. I don't shower every day. I don't do 2 loads of washing a week. But I would rather pay more than tell them I pay less and end up with a fat off bill. Okay? So overestimate, because in like the summer months where you're really sweaty and you tend to shower more often, it just comes in handy, because I don't really know if it makes a huge difference, but I've never got in trouble with water, and just to add, their customer service is 10 out of 10 all the time. It's wicked. My bill's never ever been more than 50 quid, but I always budget 50 quid. So I think I've only ever paid about £30 a month for water, 28 to be exact currently. But yeah, they set it up as it looks like a tariff, but you can access all this stuff through your account online, but I'm lazy, never check it. It's best to expect a bigger bill. Something really good to know about Anglia Water is if you stay with them, in every property you keep the same account, they just change your address. So all your payments are kept in the same place. It's super simple. You don't have to go through all of that drama again. It wasn't really drama, but you know what I mean, like the setting it up and telling them how many baths you have and all that jazz. What you want to be doing, excuse me, turns out podcasting's really dehydrating. What you want to be doing is you want to be making a note of all your bills. I know it sounds annoying. Just get a pen and paper and write down your bills. So rent, gas, electric, water, phone bill, council tax, home insurance, car insurance. I'll go for a rundown in a minute. Just write it all down so you can work out your monthly costs at your budgeted amount. Not how much it actually costs, the budgeted amount. So get a bill diary or something. Trust me, you will thank me for this advice. Budget more for your phone bill. Round it up an extra £20. And I know that sounds extreme. Airtime changes, okay? So I didn't know this, and I only found this out when they kept trying to sell me a new phone, and I was like, I've paid the contract, I'm just, I don't need to pay more. Like, I don't need to buy a new phone, I don't need one, it's fine, it's in good condition. And the operator, the salesman on the phone, well done whoever you are, at O2 explained to me how airtime works. And he said, I think I can get you a phone at the same cost as what you're paying now. So I was paying airtime and phone insurance. I'd paid off my device plan like really early because I didn't have to move out at that point in time. And he said to me, so what happens when you sign the contract is it will say that your airtime is on a APR, right? Don't know why. Can't remember what that stands for. I literally just thought of the 3 words. It's something percentage rate, right? Maybe it's annual? Nah, maybe that's not even APR. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is it changes. So it's, average percentage rate? I don't know. I'm just chatting shit. But the part I do know is true is that your tariff does change. So it increases every year or every so-and-so months. I can't remember. But it definitely increases. So even when you stop paying your phone bill, because you've paid off your device plan, your tariff will keep going up and up and up. And I didn't even realise this. I was paying more for my tariff than what I was paying for when I got the phone brand new with the device plan and the insurance. And I didn't even realise. Like, I just estimated, like £60-70 a month for my phone bill, which is crazy. Especially, most people don't pay insurance on, most. I'd say a lot of people don't pay phone insurance. And, back in the day, I used to use giffgaff, and that is an O2 network where you just top up the phone. I don't know what it's like now, but that's what it was like back then. So I used to pay like £20 a month. So budgeting 60-70 quid is a lot, but I just always overestimate so I don't have to worry about not being able to cover bills. And when he said to me, I can get you a brand new Samsung for, I think it was something like 30 something pounds with £10 insurance, because I only will take insurance if it's £10, which they will barter to, by the way, because they just want you to buy it. They want you to buy add-ons. They're salespeople. You can usually barter them. I was just like, oh my god, I'm literally paying less than that now. I was like, alright, I'll have a new phone. Sweet. So I actually also pay for a gym membership. I add that to my monthly costs. Try and go for a cheap gin. They're all relatively the same. If you're trying to save money, David Lloyd's is unnecessary, unless your sugar daddy is paying for it, okay? I also pay for SoundCloud, so I can listen to music offline and download it. That's never more than £10 either. Don't mock me. I'm changing to Spotify, but I've always used SoundCloud. When you're looking for an internet provider, you can use comparison websites. That's what I used, and it tells you what the strongest network is in your area, like the best one. So I just go for that one that's cheapest, okay? Usually the cheapest one is the one that's best for you anyway. It's very similar to like when you look for flights. So if you keep looking, it will add cookies and it'll end up costing you more. So if you're going to do that, only look once, all right? Like, only look when you're ready to buy. I think I've always paid, whenever I get a new internet contract, I've always paid something like £22 to £25. However, it turns out it's similar to airtime. It keeps going up and up and up, and now it's 30 quid. So I don't know how that happened. My advice though is if you call the provider up and ask for a deal, they'll 100% of the time make it cheaper. They will make you a new contract and they'll probably upgrade it for you just so that you stay with them. So threaten to leave most of the time works. Like some jobs, you tell them, I'm going to leave, and they give you a pay rise, and you're like, all right, I'll stay, fine. My advice as well is do be careful with some providers. I had a really bad experience of one after I moved out, and because it was less than £500 of a outgoing, I couldn't take it to court. Actually, I will explain this. Story time. So, I signed an 18-month contract with TalkTalk, just for broadband. I said my tenancy was 6 months long, so if I move out, can I bring it with me? So they said, yeah, sure, we won't charge you the £300 cancellation fee. As long as I keep paying it and don't cancel it, they don't really care where you live. They don't really care where you take it. I was only paying £22.50 a month. So that was brilliant. But again, budget for more. So I told myself 30 quid a month. Anyway, so when it came to the new property that I moved into after 6 months, the landlord actually provided the internet. So I could not plug in my internet because there was already one there, and I couldn't do that because it was for the whole block of flats as such. Do you ever just finish a day of work and just basically get naked? Same. Anyway, so when it came to moving out into the new property, the landlord provided the internet, so I wasn't able to plug mine in. I called TalkTalk to let them know I'm still paying for it, and they said, yeah, that's fine. However, they kept taking like £250 out my account. So it started off with £225, £235, £245, you know, it just kept going up and up and up, and it started getting bigger and bigger. What I would do each time, obviously I'm not going to just let them do that. So after the first time, I called them up. They said, you've cancelled your broadband. I said, no, I didn't. I've literally had this conversation twice. I have not cancelled my broadband. I'm just not able to plug it in because I live in a property where there's internet provided by the landlord and I'm not able to plug mine in. They said, well, unfortunately, we can't just refund you. Well, you can't just take £250 out my account when I'm meant to be paying £22.50 a month. Who do you think I am? I have bills to pay. You're affecting me. So they told me there was nothing they could do. Now, listen up. I didn't know about this, but it's very handy to know. Your bank, so the bank you're with, is for just your money, right? So they look after your money, meaning they protect your money. Now, the bank promises you a direct debit guarantee. I never really looked into this at all. A direct debit guarantee, in brief terms, makes sure you are only paying what was agreed to when you signed a contract. So if the organisation go against the contract, the bank will go get your money. I called the bank and I explained I never cancelled my internet, and they can see that on my bank. They asked me if I had asked for my money back, like for a refund, and I had. So they thought, nah, we'll go get your money back by 8 p.m. They literally said that. They said your money will be back in your account by 8 p.m. I thought, nah, there's no way. But there was a way. They got me every single last penny back. So the next day, I called up TalkTalk and I said, so because of my situation, I got all my money back, but I still want to pay this month's bill. So I called them up and I paid them. The next month, same thing happened. It kept happening, by the way. So it got to the point, I'm going to sound like a proper Karen. I'm definitely not a Karen, but you can decide that for yourself. So I wanted to get through to a manager, not because I thought someone was shit at doing their job, but because I thought someone was shit at doing their fucking job. Right? And people like this are why people go to court over companies, you know? However, I couldn't actually take this to court, but that's not the point. So I got through to a manager. I explained the situation. They said there was a record of this on my account, and they said there's no issue of you just calling up and paying. I said, fine. Same thing happened next month. Very annoyed about it. I called them up and said, can you check the notes on my account? They said, yeah. The manager said, you call up and pay. And I was like, yeah, cool. So, I did it again. Same thing happened. It just keeps fucking happening. They keep taking like nearly £300 on my account. I have bills to pay. I called up the bank the next time it happened and I said, this keeps happening. I'm really sorry. I think it got to the point where I actually had spoken to someone twice about it. So usually you get a different operator each time. I think I actually spoken to someone twice about it. And, you know, the customer service for Lloyds Bank are really good as well. She said to me, I think the best thing to do is cancel the direct debit if there is an agreement that you call up and pay. And I was like, okay. So I cancelled. No. Before I cancelled, I called up TalkTalk and they said the same thing. So I was like, right, I'll cancel the direct debit and I'll call up and pay. So the next time I called up and paid, obviously where they kept taking the money out my account, I hadn't paid for like 2 months, right? Because I kept getting it back because they kept charging me too much. And I ended up paying them £350 when I called up and said, hi, can I make 2 months payments, please, for last month and this month? That'll be, I don't know what it was. It was like £45. And they were like, yeah, sure. Took £350 out of my fucking account. I called up the bank. They said, miss, you cancelled your direct debit. There's no direct debit guarantee. You called up and paid. I said, their calls are recorded, are they not? And they said, yeah, but you called up and paid. Like, it's nothing to do with the bank anymore. I was like, no. So yeah, I just had to take that L. So that's my story. Hope you learn from it. Don't make the same mistake I did. So the lesson here is don't cancel direct debits ever. Just leave them there, even if they've run out. Back to budgeting. So you need to put aside some cash for travel, whether that's to work, food shop, trips, whatever. I budgeted £150 a month. I live in Milton Keynes. At the time, I didn't drive. I had a licence and I intended to. So buses, taxis, petrol, whatever reason, I budgeted for that. Make sure you're checking that you are not paying for pointless shit. Like, lower all your monthly costs as much as possible. You can call most places and companies up and ask them for cheaper options. Make sure you say, and I quote, "Hi, I'm thinking about leaving. I can't afford this anymore. Is there any way you can make this cheaper?" Most of the time, they will make you a new contract and make it cheaper. I did it Sky Broadband twice now. Lastly, how to budget food. Now, this is something that most people find the hardest, and I found it quite hard at first. So, take a step back from your posh Waitrose. It is really necessary. Personally, I grew up with Tesco Value. My pal at the time, he took me to Aldi. And oh my god, I could not believe how cheap it was. The first visit is really weird because you don't know where everything is, you don't know what you need, but you get used to it, you need to start writing shopping lists. Personally, when budgeting and intended to spend less, I always write a shopping list. Very handy. It's a top tip. Don't ever shop when you're hungry. Don't ever shop when you are hungry. Don't do that. Take my advice. You will regret it. You think guys can think with their dicks? Well, wait till you stop thinking with your hungry ass belly. It's dangerous. So budgeting £30 to £40 a week on food in Aldi, budget an extra £10 a week on takeaways, and then you never feel guilty for having a takeaway once a week. You will not end up doing it very often, but you've got the money aside for it. Now, how to budget if you're really struggling, or if you're just trying to be strict and tight because you're saving for something much bigger. Buy one of those super cheap lock safes. Buy some envelopes and label them. Most of your bills will come out of your account. However, as long as you arrange them to come out at the first of the month, you don't have to think about them or whenever your payday is what I mean. My payday's always been the end of the month for most jobs. That's why I say the first of the month. Anything else such as travel, food, bad habits, you have to budget for. It sounds silly. I know you don't want to know about it, but you do. Even the drinks. So get rid of your bad habits or budget for them. Things like drinking, smoking, being a shopaholic, budget it. Write the envelope every month after your bills come out. Just write on the envelope. Every month after your bills come out, withdraw, say like £200 if you have it spare after budgeting. So not if you only have £200. Just make sure you have wrote down a breakdown of all your bills budget and anything on top of that is spare. So whatever's spare, take like half of it out in cash and use a budget in envelopes. Share this cash withdrawal into your envelopes and make sure you have an envelope called emergencies. Put £50 in that a month. If you can put 100, do it. I promise you. Like, I literally beg you to do that. If I could do that, and I can't, and I still can't. If I could do that, I would be. And I couldn't, and I still can't. And it bites me in the arse all the time. Especially if for things like your car breaks down, or if you have kids and your kid needs something, or you miss a train or flight and you have to pay for it twice. Literally so many things are emergencies. Like, you just need that cash. And I promise you, having that cash aside for emergencies will come in handy. And if you get yourself into a habit of doing it now, you won't unlearn it, You will always make sure you've got money aside for emergencies. To save small change, you want to get 3 containers. Sounds excessive, but this is what I do, okay? So if you like my advice, take my advice. 1 you can access, 1 you can only open with a can opener, and a copper one. By copper one, I mean just for like 1p, 2p. You want to put in the sealed one, the one you can only open with a can opener. You want to put things like £2 coins, £1 coins, maybe even 50p's and notes. And then the loose one that you can access and that it can be opened, you want to be put in your silver coins. So your 20p's, 50p's, 10p's, 5p's. This is really handy. Acts a bit like an emergency fund. Good if you don't want to break into a note, but you need change for like bread or milk, for example. If you want to save money in your bank, then you can open a savings account completely for free. ISAs are really good. I mean, my advice is to go to a bank and ask them for their best options and their interest rates. I use Lloyd's, so they have a savings account that's free. I can't remember the interest on it. I've never really got huge interest on it. It's pretty minor. It seems pretty pointless, but a penny's a penny, pound's a pound. What it is you can access it anytime. You don't get a card for it. You don't get charged for transferring money to and from the account. If you're trying to discipline yourself more when it comes to saving money, ISA accounts are good because you get charged if you take money out and transfer and stuff like that. So I think you can get like fixed year or fixed 3 years. There are so many options out there. There is actually something called a Help to Buy ISA. I don't know if they're still in place anymore. But I know that a lot of people took that on. It was to encourage a lot of people to get mortgages. It was for first-time buyers, and what you could do is you could save up to, I think it was 12.5 grand, and you would get 3.5 grand back. But if you saved over that, it was capped at 3.5 grand. But the government was giving out 3.5 grand basically. It's definitely an option. You could ask if they're offering something like that. If you're not able to get a mortgage, then that's not relevant. So I'm sorry. I am aspiring to get a mortgage, and you need exceptional credit for that. Proving you can borrow money can be done with things like a credit card. Personally, it was really good for me. To get a credit card, I paid it back all the time. I only used it for petrol and sometimes my food shop, and I would always pay it back. However, the pandemic hit and now I'm in heaps of debt. So it's really good for proving you can borrow large sums of cash and pay it back. Basically, pandemic fucked us all, and yeah, a bit deep in that one. Trying to scoop myself out. Just make sure you're always hitting the minimum limit. So for me, it's like £50, which is a lot because it used to be like £5. The bad thing about regular savings accounts is that you can transfer money back and forth, but it's also a positive, as I said. Easy access to your cash as and when you need it. I hope the advice I've given you today has been helpful and useful. Sorry if I've been a bit all over the place. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring this out. Please stay tuned. Please give me a DM if you want to discuss anything or learn any more. I won't always be sticking to conversations like this. I just feel like introducing myself and, highlighting my independence is something that I think a lot of people need to feel empowered by. It's not just all about me. I just feel like there isn't enough people out there discussing it. That was my alarm to tell me to do some work and stop podcasting. How funny is that? Thank you so much for listening. Please come back every week for a new episode. I hope you can keep up with my overwired brain. Sorry I get deep into stories about each thing. My idea in my mind for today's episode was to be like, okay, here are your bills. Let's break it down. But I think I did it in a totally messed up order just because that's how my brain works. So I will go into detail about one thing before finishing what I was talking about. So if you can keep up with that, you're more than welcome. If you have anything you'd like advice on, want me to discuss, or you're interested in being a guest on my show, please drop me a message. I would find that so exciting. Use my Instagram, so it's at podcast.j, so that's Jai, just because it's short for Jamie, and I'm not a boy. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and show me some love. I don't know how people do, but please do it. Follow, like, share, subscribe. And if you'd like any more advice on how to live alone and how to do the bill side of it, I just wish someone was there for me when I first moved out. Like, there was people giving me advice and guiding me and directing me, like I was asking for it. There wasn't someone that said, okay, have you done this? Have you done that? There was only one of my friend's mums, when I told her I was moving out, she got me to get a pen and paper out, and she said, have you got everything you need? When a mum says that, like a good parent, it makes you think, I ain't got a fucking clue what I need, right? And she said to me, you need a kettle, toaster, microwave. I mean, you don't need a microwave, but, she was giving me cutlery, dishcloth, ironing board, and, all sorts of things like clothing area, cleaning products, toiletries, a bed, drawers, wardrobe, tables, all that sort of stuff. She was literally making me list it, but I run through all that in my last episode. So if you want to know what you need before you move out, check out my last episode. And for steps on how to organise your bills and budget, check out this episode. Next episode, I'm going to give you advice on how to cook for one person, things related to that. It can be boring for some people. However, it's something that I found a struggle for a very long time. In fact, right now, I have some food in the house, but I just don't fancy any of it. You know what I mean? And cooking for one person is hard. Like, the only thing that's like ready-made for one person is super noodles. Yeah, I don't even have any bread. Wait, that doesn't make sense to some people. Yeah, you can make super noodle sandwiches, by the way. Please try it with butter, obviously. It's so nice. chicken super noodle sandwich. I guess that's what I'm having for dinner. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.